DC, CEO, wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a gold builder that can teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Constance Carter.
And it's your girl, Kyle Carter.
What's happening, baby girl?
Not much, just living life, living like Larry, like they say in the SpongeBob terms.
See, let me tell you something about this child of mine. She's the most immature person I've ever met in my life because every reference she makes, she's almost 25 years old, and every reference she makes is to SpongeBob. So
I grew up with SpongeBob, man.
Yeah, whatever.
When did the first episode release? It released in 99. We grew up together.
Okay. Anyway.
Bro.
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I see y'all coming in droves. You guys are coming in here. So thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe to the Fly Nubian Queen. Make sure, I don't know where you're watching from, but make sure you also subscribe to CC the CEO on YouTube. And I am Constance Carter on Facebook and Instagram. So right now, I want you to stop what you're doing and I want you to hit the subscribe button and I want you to share this out because we're going to talk about something that I think is really a profound topic. And we actually have some special guests today, right, Kyle?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So we have a few brothers and a sister. And the reason, before we even go there, and I see people already chiming in, this is a dialogue and not a monologue. So we like for you to talk back to us and
black to us.
Black to us, yeah.
You're so funny.
We love for you to talk back to us. So make sure that in the comments you put where you're watching from, because we know we have people that watch from all over the world. You might be in China, you might be in Australia, you might be in Chicago, you might be in the Bay. So put that in the comments so that we can acknowledge you and shout you out. Who's Facebook user? You in the group. So I don't know who you are because I know the group people, their name never show up. It always shows up Facebook user. So put your name in there. Okay. Oakland, California. Okay, that's what's up. So Bernard is saying some weird stuff as he always does, but hey, thank you for tuning in and thank you for liking all of my stuff and thank you for always commenting on all my things and even the DMs that I get all the time. Thank you. Anyway, guys, I want to talk to you today about a topic and I want to bring some guests on, but it's really around relationships. And I thought what happened was, Kai, the other day I saw a post about a relationship. And what's up, Tia? What's up? What's happening? And then Callie. I don't know who that is from Callie. But there was this post that I saw that I shared on my Facebook, and it caused a lot of dialogue. And it was really around the relationship between, what's more important? Is a relationship between a spouse more important, or is a relationship between a parent and a child more important? And the response,
and I have a lot to say about that because it's an important dynamic. And I feel also like my age range too, like mid to late 20s. I feel like we're starting to really get into that topic because a lot of people are starting to get married and a lot of people are starting to have kids. Some people started kids when we graduate high school, but it's like, people that dynamic of the child like being more important than the wife has been like sparking controversy in a lot of like areas. So I'm excited to dig deeper into the topic. So.
Yeah, you and I have had some great dialogue about it too, and so you have a profound opinion as well. So I just think so what we tried to do tonight is we try to get a diverse group of people just to talk about it, and so we want you to talk to us about it as well. Like, what is more important? So I am a mother. Is my relationship with my mate more important than my relationship with my child? So what's more important? So some people say, listen, your child is more important because your mate could come and go, but your child will never leave you. Some people say, no, your mate is more important because how can you be a good parent if you're not a good mate for your child? So there's all of these varying opinions. And I guess it also depends on if you're married or if you're not married or whatever your values are. All of those things, they matter. They take into account. Everybody is different. And honestly, y'all, there's no wrong answer. Everybody has a different opinion. So we respect it, but I wanted to bring people on who have diverse opinions. So for you all too, for the folks that are watching, what are your thoughts? So I'm going to bring our first guest up, Mr. James Moore. This is my homie. We go way back. Like, wait, what did ODB say? Like babies and pacifiers. This is my dog. James Moore is a husband. He is a father. Are you a grandfather, James?
No.
Not yet. All right.
Not yet.
All right. He's a business owner, and he hails from Northern California by way of L.A. Rolling 60 Crip Gang. No, I'm just kidding.
The hundreds.
The hundreds. Okay, the hundreds. Okay, my bad. Yeah. So this is my guy James. You've been shot like 50 times and everything. So you have quite a testimony and a walk. And so I respect you for everything that you've been through. And you're a great father, great husband, and all that stuff. But you have an opinion. And then we have Mr. Larry Bluford. And I love this guy because I watch him. I don't know Larry personally, but we're friends on Facebook. And he's a free thinker. He's a husband. He's a father. And he's been married over 30 years. And he celebrates his wife all the time. That's so dope. Yeah, girl. So after 30 years, you ain't tired of her is the thing, right? So I love that. And so I wanted to hear what he thought about that. And then we have my good girlfriend, Miss Kimberly Booker, who just messed up the whole screen with her little thing that way. But it's all good. We can hear you. Now, Kim, unmute yourself. I love Kim. Kim is my girl. She hails out of Larry is in Fairfield, California. That's where he's located. He's driving home from work right now. My good girlfriend, Kim, she is a thought leader. She is a intellect. She is my home girl. She is the person, a shoulder that I could cry on when I'm going through some things. And her grandson is also a recipient of my, you know what I'm going to say, Kim?
We were just talking about that.
The boys was just talking about But anyway, this is my girl. And we have such great in-depth conversations about so many things, and Kim has helped me through a lot of different things, and I just appreciate her friendship. But I thought you would have a great perspective, being where you are. She lives in the DMV. She lives in Maryland by way of, guess what? The Dirty D.
Detroit.
It's so cold in the D. We supposed to keep the beat. You remember that song? Do you know that song, Kim? It's so cold in the D. That's your theme song.
It's the D versus everybody.
Listen, we don't want none. We don't want none of that smoke.
No, you don't.
No, I already know. So listen, so here's the conversation. I want to jump right into it, and I love each and every one of you guys for being on here with us. Here's a copy of the post I want to share with you. So it says, a friend of mine was upset because his daughter told him, even though she loved him, she loved her stepfather too. She told him she loved the way her stepfather loves her mom. Now, this dad totally caters and spoils his daughter, and he loves her like no other. But she says she wants to marry a man like her stepfather because she has never seen her dad love a woman. Her opinion is he makes a great dad, but not a great husband. She says he does everything for me, but she knows he doesn't do much for the women he dates. He was so crushed. He really thought she would say that she wanted a man like him. Showing your children healthy relationships is important. They really learn a lot from you. So with that being said, Kim, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think about that? So my question was, is the relationship between you and your spouse more important than your relationship with you and your child? What are your thoughts?
So I really do think when you pit one of those relationships against the other, you're really talking apples and airplanes. Okay. It's like two different worlds. However, what this taught us, and I believe that this is it's probably more true than not, that our youth are very impressionable. and they're watching what we do. And they're only children for a short period of time. They go on to be adults far longer in their lifespan than they are children. So they have to take what we impress upon them to continue the rest of their 50 to 60 more years that they're going to be adults. And this daughter was proof positive that she did not get to see her father in a loving role as a spouse. And so now that she's an adult, not a child any longer, because he did so well for her as a child, she is seeking that which the woman in her wants for the next 40 to 50 years. And that is to be loved, respected, adored, honored, and considered.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I say, I played this little bitty violin for dad, this little one. Shame on him for not showing his daughter an example of how a man loves a woman. I'm sure he was given every opportunity. That's my take.
That's good. James, I want to ask you, because you text me this morning, and share what you text me. No, you share.
Just, I posed the question to, I posed the question to, my friends. And I was like, hey, what's more important, being a husband or being a great dad to your kids? And man, it's been a great dad. Because that being a great dad attracts women if you're not married. Now, most of the guys I was talking to are not married. So, that had something to do with their answer, but it just kind of really made me think about it in depth. Because just growing up, we all want great fathers.
Go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, just we always was taught to be be a great father, be in your kids' lives. So now the dynamic could be that the child may not live with the dad and live with the mom, so she can't see all the things that the dad do, and she may just get a snapshot when she's around.
I understand. All right, Mr. Larry, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are with me being a husband, is that being a mate is more important to me, because like it was expressed earlier, my kids are gonna go on and grow up like they have. One of my children are 34, the other one is 28 years old. My idea of being with my wife is to be with her for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? So we've been married almost 3 decades now, and my daughter was able to grow up from a very young.
You cutting off on us, Larry?
Am I? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, as he comes back on, Kai, what are your thoughts?
I feel coming from a dynamic, I feel like coming from a dynamic where I'm like actually in like the daughter's position, where like I'm looking at the relationship between like, my like the father, and also like looking at a relationship for like looking at like a mate for the future. I look at like certain things, especially like being an adult now. It's like it's I feel like it's very important to see the dynamic of how your father treats your mother, because then that's going to be the example of like what your daughter would choose in the future. And from my personal experience, I'm not going to go like too deep, but I haven't made the best choices because I haven't seen the example. I have to basically like lead that path by by myself, if that makes sense. Like I had to like basically figure that out on my own because I didn't really see like, I mean, he was like for a certain period of time, I want to say like, okay, I've seen what a good husband is supposed to do, but also I didn't see that didn't translate into the kids as well. And I feel like sometimes men think it's one or the other, not both. Like either they're a very good dad or they're a very good husband. It's very rare that they're like, you know, both, I feel like. But that's just my personal opinion.
So I'll just express my opinion, and thank you for that. I think being a spouse is more important, and so everybody has their varying opinions. It seems like, but most of the people are leaning towards the spouse piece. The reason why I feel like it's a trickle down effect. You know what I'm saying? Like how many people are going to be good spouses and bad parents, right? If you are treating your wife right, it's not very common that you're going to treat your kids. Now, although you can, because I've seen where you have both spouses beating kids. So it's not like it doesn't, it can't happen. But you have a lot of situations where you could treat your children like a princess. You could treat your daughter like a princess, your son like a king, and then you come and you be evil to the parent. But what they don't realize is that these kids are looking at you, just like you said, Kim. They're looking at you. So I don't care how good you treat them. If you treating the first person that I ever love, or the second person, right, my mom or my dad, and you're treating them like shit, that's not going to make me more endearing to you. I'm not going to have more respect for you. It's going to make me look at you sideways. So I understand what the young lady was saying in terms of, that I love you. And one person was right on the money when they said the fact that she was comfortable enough to share her opinion with her dad without a matter of fear or anger or retaliation. Screams that he did a good job as a dad, but it also crushed him as a father. And so, Larry, I want to give you an opportunity to finish what you were saying, finish your point before you got cut off.
No, I was just saying that, my kids are grown, and, my whole goal when I got married was to be with my wife for life. So my daughter got to grow up as a little girl, seeing me open doors for my wife, treat my wife well, never yell at her, never call her her name. So now when my daughter became of age and she started looking for guys, she started looking for me in the men she chose because she liked the way I treated her mom. And so she wanted a guy to treat her like that when she chose her guy. And so now she has a guy that does those exact things. He opens doors for her. He's very courteous and nice to us. Sir, yes, ma'am. And that's all she's seen me growing up. So that's why I think it's important. And my daughter, she's a daddy's girl. And it wasn't necessarily that I was focused on trying to be a good dad. It's just that she was an extension of my wife. And I love my wife so much. My kids, how can I not love, if I love and cherish my wife, how can I not love and cherish my children? And that's my piece.
That is so beautiful. I see Kyle and Kim looking like, oh my God, what do you guys think?
I'm like, where's his brother at? You got an uncle?
Exactly. Who raised you, Larry?
Yes.
We want to be a part of that family.
Constance, to his point though, as a man, like to me, we're mothers, true. So we're going to be maternal to our girl children and our boy children. But I think that most dads worth their salt understand that what they are shaping in front of their girl children is exactly what she organically is going to gravitate towards. Absolutely. Outside. And that's and it's almost, now that's apples to apples. If you are a bad spouse to your wife in front of your children, then the daughter, it's almost like it's impressed upon her that this is what love is. This right. is what the norm is. And you as a parent would have to undo that, lest she go out there and look for someone that was like her father, good, bad, or indifferent. So organically, you leave the girl child to have to break that. And that's why it's called daddy issues, because grown women are out here that did not receive a positive pattern of their worth. Because to me, that's what a dad does. A dad is impressing upon that girl child a pattern of her worth. And if he does not do that by exhibiting that to her mother, then she's lost and she does not have that pattern. So she goes out there and she seeks the pattern herself.
Wow.
And to me, that's unfortunate.
Kyle, you chomping at the bit.
No, I'm saying she hit it on the head, man. Because it's like she said, like it happens organically, like subconsciously, like you just don't, you automatic, because that's what you find familiar. So like you go to whatever you see, like, and just like Larry said, like his daughter goes to what was familiar to her. We go, when you have daddy issues, you kind of go what's familiar to you and you think it's normal. And it's like, yeah, she hit on the head.
So for James, you coming from your perspective though, why do you think being a good father precedes?
It's just I feel very fortunate because I grew up in a toxic household.
Okay.
My mom was very toxic. My dad left the house when I was like 11 years old, so I never got to witness what I'm actually exhibiting in real time. The only way I learned how to love my wife, and it becomes even the version of the man I am today, is it because of my wife, man. My wife is like my savior. You know, when I met her, she believed in me and just turned me into an entirely different guy, or at least maybe unveiled the true me because I grew up in the streets. You know, I had a hard shell. You know, I'm in and out of the system, and you know, I went to prison, and my wife held me down through that. So I had to learn a lot of behaviors through her loving me and helping me become who I was internally, but I couldn't express it externally because of who I was taught to be. Because of the, you know, growing up in the streets and in the system, you know, growing up as a young man, being told not to cry and having to hold all that in, and not realizing until I became a man that, you know, all my life was told crying, stop crying like a girl. So all my life I grew up thinking that crying was a female emotion, when all in reality it's a human emotion. And so as I grew up, I hold all that anger in. I mean, hold all that hurt in. The only way I expressed it is through anger. And it brought me down a lot of roads I didn't need to go down. And so my wife, I met my wife when I was young, and she basically saved my life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So I had to learn all
And
these things. I had to learn how to become a husband. You know, I didn't have, my dad wasn't there, so I had to learn how to become a father. And so I didn't use the excuse of not being taught or not seeing it to not try to find out how to be it, if that makes sense.
what motivated you to do that though? What motivated you to want to be a better than what you saw? Was it the fact that she held you down when you was in prison, or did you always long, like when you were growing up, did you always long to have this sort of perfect marriage, white picket fence, kids, and all that stuff? Did you hear me, Larry? Larry, did you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Y'all can hear me? Okay.
He probably in a bad area.
Okay, Larry, we talking to you, but you can hear. Okay, so James, for you, why for you did it make sense?
Yeah, can you hear us?
No, I can't hear anybody talking.
Yeah, we were talking.
He probably in a bad area.
I hear you.
Okay. What I asked you was, what was that thing that made you be that way? Was it something that you wanted to do since you were a child, or was it something that happened over the years? Like when you were a kid, you were like, this is what I'm lacking. This is what I really want. Because I know for me, what kept me in my marriage for so long is I wanted what I always wanted growing up, right? I wanted to be able to go on vacations. I wanted to be able to eat dinner at the dinner table. We never ate dinner at the dinner table. And so I made sure that we ate dinner at the dinner table. I made sure that we went on vacations, and I, you know, I did it because I was trying to fulfill something that I wanted, that I longed for as a child. Now, my kids will tell me today that wasn't really that fun, but I was fulfilling my own, dreams of what I thought the perfect family life was. So what I'm asking for you, Larry, is like, did you always dream about having this perfect marriage and this white picket fence and all that? Can you even hear me, Larry? He can't hear me. Okay, we're gonna come back to him. James, I wanted to ask you though. You said being a father was more important. Tell us why. Like, let's dig deeper into that, because I know that you have a blended family, and that's the reason why I really wanted to get your perspective, because you have children from a previous relationship, you have a wife and kids from this relationship. So how did that play into what your thoughts are? How you think?
So to be a good father is, since you're absent, you're always trying to make up for lost time, right? So you want to be there for your kids. All they know is dad. They don't know the husband for the relationship you're in once they come, until they come. So from the dynamics of my oldest daughter, it was like, okay, she never seen me really love on her mom because we wasn't together where she could really see it. But now if you go to my 11-year-old, oh, she seen me love on her mom. She know that, hey, Saturdays, mom and dad go out. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost in the eyes of the beholder of how a child may view you. But to be a good dad, it's something that, like in the Black community, you always hear. You don't really hear, oh man, he's a good husband. Oh man, that's a good dad, man. He taking his kids over here. They don't see the woman until they're together, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I know you said, like, a lot of the guys that you was talking to when you were asking your friends, they were like, being a good husband, that's like being a simp or whatever. What was the meaning of that? What is the meaning of this?
So it was just like some ladies may see a guy that's just getting ran over. So they can't, like they said, you go after what you see. So if a guy is just yes ma'am, no ma'am, my buddy's like, hey, that's a simp. So I didn't really go into the details of the whole post, what the daughter said, but it would have been like, whoa, wait. So who is she seeing? Is she seeing the stepdad? Is he loving on his mom, or he's just been ran over as a man?
So would they consider the stepdad as a simp? Your boys?
No. It just that's again, amongst guys, we talk
right, no,
freely amongst ourselves.
I get it. I get it. You're right.
Yeah, like, oh man, I wouldn't go put gas in her car and wash her car for her. That could be like a simp. Like I have one. Here's a good example for you. I have one friend. He says that his wife never pumps gas.
That's good.
Even when he's about to go out of town, he makes sure the gas is filled. Right? Cool. But that don't mean that she never pumped gas. Do that make sense?
I don't know. No. So you mean to tell me that she pumping gas when he ain't there? Like, what does that mean? Somebody said what?
Well, and that's what we're asking. Like, so how do she get gas when you're not around? Do she call you and you run over there to get her gas?
So, but what's wrong with him always making sure that his wife is taken care of? Because here's the thing that I think. I think if
I do. I meet my wife and I go pump her gas. That's what I do. I mean, If I am able, she can call me and be like, "Hey, Larry, I'm at the such and such gas station. I'll be there in a minute. I'll go there, meet her, pump her gas, come on home, or go do what I was doing." If she tells me she needs gas and the car is still at home, I'll take her car and go do whatever I gotta do and pump her gas. To me, that's easy.
Kim, the way you looked at Larry when he said that, what are you?
Yeah,
It's easy to
yeah.
me.
So like Larry, and that's what most men do. Like I go and I wash my wife's car. I get gas in her car. I don't do it every week if I'm not around.
I'll just meet her.
So
That's
you know,
simple.
it's just again a different dynamic when you're amongst man talking. And the guys that
Because
don't
men
have
just
a
want
wife,
to
they
show out in
don't
front of their
understand how
homeboys. They don't want to.
important
They
that
don't
is
want to.
to
They
them.
want to do the simp Olympic type thing.
Yeah.
Men just don't want to. They don't want to show that they love their wife too hard, or you're gonna be a simp, or you're gonna be men. And it don't matter what age they are. Men just want to just show out in front of their homeboy. It's crazy to me. Like, how are you 50 still like gonna make fun of your homeboy for putting gas in their car?
Yeah,
Come on.
that's.
May I
Yeah, so
Go ahead,
please?
I call things
Yeah.
like
See. So this to me is akin to the future Russell Wilson argument. But here's the deal. Simps are winning. If that's what y'all are calling simps, simps are winning. Bottom line. So, and here's the catcher. The fact that he makes certain that if it's within his abilities that he's going to make sure that his wife's gas is pumped. That's because that's a priority between them and their relationship. That's their priority. I'm sure that he has a priority for her, that no matter what, this is a priority. So those things are allowed in matrimony. And to me, the question was asked, well, who pumps her gas when he's not around? Or I don't do it every week. Well, that's because it's not a fail-proof priority to you. But to me, if you're going to be with me, we're going to have a list of some of these priorities. Your priority may be, listen, babe, like no matter what's going on, I want a hot meal Monday through Friday. You could take off on the weekends, but Monday through Friday, when I come home, just have me a hot meal on the table, or have me a hot meal, where I can pop it and warm it up. That could be a priority. That does not mean I'm enslaved to my husband. That just means that he's made it very clear what's important to him.
Right.
And so therefore, between me and him, because that's how I love him, he's going to have that hot meal. So to hell with any female that's in my circle talk about, oh, I ain't cooking every day Monday through Friday. Oh, he better order out. Yeah, no, sis. If he's made it plain that this is what makes him happy, this is what makes our thing work, then I'm going to be at the stove Monday through Friday like he asked me. And guess what he's going to be doing? Pumping my gas anytime that orange stick goes past that quarter of a tank. Yeah, I'm babe. It's at a quarter of a tank. Okay, babe, where you at? Okay, stop right there. Or let me take your car. Give me your keys. Let me put that on app. Because we got an arrangement here. So to me, that whole simp thing, that's something that's low vibrational. And that's jive like low-key hating. Because Future is going to call Russell a simp until the day he dies. Because he can never, ever, ever be the man that Russell Wilson is on his worst day. Future's best day is not even Russell Wilson's worst day.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that simp talk is for people who really have not been married and just like you said, low vibrational. The thing I think though is that if you doing what you're supposed to do as a man, your
It's
woman,
not even
your
that
wife,
haven't been married. It's like if they're emotionally immature.
That part. But if you're doing what you can as a man, your wife is going to fall in line. She's gonna do her part. So it ain't really. It ain't definitely no simping in marriage, because in marriage you make sacrifices. Maybe when you dating somebody or you just seeing somebody, like you just do just enough to just keep them there. But when you are married to somebody, there are sacrifices and concessions that you make in order to make that thing work. So if a husband, if you're leading me and you're guiding me and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a husband, I'm gonna fall in line. I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna want to wash your dirty drawers. I'm gonna want to cook your meal. I'm gonna want to do all those things because you take care of me as well. But the people who are miserable and unhappy and running around, and then when they decide they 75 and they back don't work and they legs don't work, now I want to settle down. Don't nobody want your raggedy ass. Nobody wants you at that point. What are we doing?
That part. Ooh wee.
How do you feel, Kyle, at that, since you're coming from the space of like more of a child, and because you haven't been married, you've been in a relationship, how do you feel like your experiences has reflected your outlook on you dating?
Like, are you talking about like the dynamic that I saw grow up, like with husband and wife?
Yeah. However, whatever you were taught or whatever you learned by, observation, how has that affected what you, because when Kim was talking about that, you was like, but I was like,
well.
She hit it on the head.
Uh-huh. Because like, it's so true. I feel like a lot of like the parents of the generation, a lot of the parents of my generation, a lot of people are trying to, like, a lot of their parents now are divorced. And I feel like it's because, well, not feel like, but I know it's because a lot of them were together just for the fact of just having a 2-parent household. But it's more than just having a 2-parent household. It's about unity and your kids being able to see like teamwork and things like that. Like if you're in a 2-parent household and your kids just see y'all either like disrespecting each other or arguing and stuff all the time, there's no point of being in a 2-parent household. Your kid is going to just see that toxicity. So for me, it was like, I'm not gonna say my dynamic was completely toxic, but it wasn't like, the whole true love. I'm just gonna say I never really seen true love before from my parents, if we're gonna keep it real. So when I got to college, and I started dating, because I started dating like late. I'm a late bloomer when it came out of dating. I'm from California, so like people didn't look at me in high school. People didn't start looking at me till I went to HBCU. So when I started like dating at 18, like it was like I kind of like gravitated towards the people that first like would like give me attention for real, because I mean I didn't really have that dynamic from my father. So like it was like whoever gave me attention, that's who I'm like, looking at. And then it don't matter if it's good attention or bad attention. It's whoever gave me like attention. And then now from 18-year-old me to 20, almost 25-year-old me, it's more like, and I've been dated, I had my first boyfriend and everything, and now I see like how I had to learn that the toxicity, and I learned how I'm supposed to be treated as a woman, but from other sources other than what should have been in my household, if you get what I'm saying. I don't know if I answered your question, but I think I pretty much did.
No, you did. And so how important then, that begs the question, how important is it? Because you guys are talking about, my kids come first, because I hear some people say, well, shoot, your mate could come and go, your spouse could come and go, but your kids, they gonna be with you forever, so you should treat them better. Like, then that begs the question.
Like hypothetically, if I ever dated a man with a kid, I'm going to just ask. I'm first going to ask how their relationship is with their kid, and I'm never going to like sway them for not having a relationship with their kid. And And it's like, also, if they choose to be like romantic with me in that way, like I also want to like show a positive what's it example to the kid, like what like real love like looks like, type thing. Like, it's like, because some people just have like those bitter baby mamas, baby daddies that don't want their kid, and then you got like the extended family and stuff trying to get in the way of that relationship, and it's like that all hinders and gets in the way. And it's important that the kid sees a healthy relationship with whoever their parent is with, type thing.
So I want to ask, because you brought up a good topic in terms of like blended family and dating somebody with kids. Kim, your husband had one child before you guys got married. How did you deal with that?
So when I met my husband, he had a small son, and my daughter was young too, and I'm talking toddlers, and they are like 6 months apart. But the child's mother wasn't letting him spend time with him. And so it was really bothering him. And we had my daughter with us. So he automatically fell in line with fulfilling that role as a dad with my daughter. And she has, her father, her biological father, was alive at the time, but wasn't doing what he should have been doing for my daughter. So what I thought was the best thing to do was for me to fight for his right to be with his son. I didn't take too well to the fact that he could be the ideal father for my daughter, who's not his biological daughter, but didn't have the opportunity to be that for his own biological son. So in due time, we had both toddlers with us, and we were raising them. And so we were an automatic blended family right there. My child, his child. Fast forward, I really fell in love with his son, and I took to him, and he couldn't even call me his stepmother because we had blurred those lines. Not taking the place of his mom, but ultimately what ended up happening is he did not see a good example of his father treating me well. My children, our biological children, saw a good example, but just for a short period of time. And then my husband did what they call flip the script. He became a totally different person. So as they got older.
In what way?
He just was not considerate, not caring, just cold. And he just went from being the best thing ever to the worst thing ever.
This is while you were married or after?
Yes, this is while we were married, and which led to me asking for a divorce. I was cut from the cloth that we're going to do this all the way to the end of our lives. But when it came to being mistreated, he knew very well that I had zero tolerance for being mistreated, like zero. And it was when we were going down that path, and we protected our children. So when we did announce to our children that we were getting divorced, our children were stunned because we never argued in front of them. That I took that off the table. They did not see disagreements. They did not see us disrespecting one another. Though we did all of those things, we waited till they went to school. We went outside. We went in the car. But at the end of the day, today, they are adults. And he, the relationship that they have with him is one of ill repair. And he is on the side of now having to repair relationships with grown people that did not view him as a loving spouse and a loving father. And so this goes back to the post. One thing that I wanted to make clear is that girl mentioned that I've never seen my dad treat any of his girlfriends well. So not only did he not treat her mother well, but she saw a track record of him not treating women well. So why would she use him as a reference point when she's looking for someone to marry? of course she's going to look at her stepfather, who has exhibited the way that a man should love a woman. So to me, dad thought that just by blood, he should get that status with her. But she showed him, no, you've not given me exhibit A, B, C, or D for me to say that I want to marry someone that's like you. He didn't give her any best practices. So she went with what she saw, which was her stepfather. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. In fact, I think you make a mistake as a father, trying to be a great father and not showing your children what loving their mother looks like, or what loving other people looks like. Because some men can love the mother, but when they go outside that door, they're held to deal with outside of the house. You don't want to show your kids that either. You know what I'm saying?
And then as a mature, responsible father, wouldn't you want your daughter to have the best? Right? So if you know that you didn't treat her right, and of course my ego's gonna say, I am the best. What do you mean? But as like, if you put your ego aside and you say, for her betterment, and I'm looking at this scenario over here, and I want the best for my child, it's not the model that I set. It's the model that he sets. But that takes a whole lot of maturity.
But Constance, can you imagine what she must have seen as an adult? She probably seen him, looking at his call ID while the girlfriend's calling. He like, I don't want to talk to her. Or she might have saw him in a relationship with one girlfriend and he dealing with another female. She's coming over, whatnot. It's no telling what stuff that she saw that she was like, you know what, Pops, I love you dearly, but I don't want no parts of how you put it down. It's no telling what she saw.
Right. While he out here showering her with gifts, love, giving her everything. That ain't it, partner. James, let me ask you. You had a different situation because you have a blended family also, right? But how did that play out with you having someone that you weren't married to? You had children with her, and then you have a wife, and then you have your kids now. How were you able to be a father, and were you able to? How do you feel about your fatherhood in dealing with in that dynamic? Because it could be quite difficult. He got a little delay. Or is he froze? James, you froze or you delayed? Can you hear me now, James?
He's probably lagging.
He was froze at first. You don't have to edit this for the podcast, Kai.
I know. James. All this editing I gotta do.
James, did you hear what I said?
He's unmuted now.
Can you hear me?
Did you hear what I said, James? Yeah. James.
It was coming in and out. It was a big delay.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. So one thing that we talked about, and just real quick, Kim, before I get you, Larry, you said something that was so profound when we've had these discussions in the past. You said, Mike, I don't want to say you, but I don't know if you want to say this, but you said about sort of the saying, is it better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm referring to in terms of the children?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The idea that at one point and period of time in their lives, they had this super dad who was outstanding, above and beyond. But when our marriage began to go left and our plans changed, he became a very bitter, angry, uncaring person, not just to me, but to the children as well. And my children, even today as adults, often say, it was better for us to never have known good dad. I would have rather him not been around, or for him to just been sorry all my life, than for me to have known how good he was. And now I'm left to deal with this version of him. And of course, now he's trying to mend things with them. But when I say my kids are good and grown now, they are very grown adults that can go toe to toe with the trauma and in the wake of, of the damage that he's caused. They can advocate for themselves to that degree. But to hear a child of yours say, I would have rather he had just been sorry the whole time than for me to have ever known him to be my hero or to be the best dad in the world. That hurts. That hurts today. And every time my son says it really hurts. And my daughter, she was able to say to him herself, you were my daddy and you disappeared when I needed you the most. So I went out here looking for anybody that would show me affection and love and care. And I ended up in relationships that you would not have been proud of. And and she put the onus on him. She said, you left me when I needed you to show me.
When I needed you the most. And so how do you reconcile that as a mom? Do you feel like, are you resentful? How does that make you feel as a mom?
So I never wanted to take the place of him. Even in his sorriest state, I still was like, call and check on your dad. Today's your dad's birthday. Send him a text if you don't want to talk to him. I was still compelled that, like, I wasn't a teenage pregnant mom. You know what I'm saying? We were adults. We married in this thing. We were about our wits. And today, though, I say this, and Constance, this is something that I've said to you, for a while. Like, I had to stop and say, well, who am I to get in the way of the life lessons that he's going to have to learn by doing this to his children? Who am I to soften his blow? Like, who am I to try to come through there like Superwoman, dun, 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 and try to be the glue between the kids and the dysfunction? No. So I took myself out the middle so that he could feel the full brunt of the damage that was done, so that they could advocate and speak for themselves, and so that they can yell and scream in his face like they were yelling and screaming at me for the anger that they had for him.
Right.
So I removed myself, and I allowed karma, the universe, God, Jesus, and 12 white folks to bring all of what he had coming to him. And this is where we are right now today. Now you're dealing with adults who can tell you that they're traumatized, who can tell you that they're disrespected, who can tell you of the damage that you've done in their lives. They can say it for themselves. And to me, I'd rather hear it from a 16-year-old that doesn't have the words than a 32-year-old that knows exactly what they're talking about.
I agree, man, because it's like what you said earlier about like how they would rather their father really not being there, like from the beginning, to like just being there, then all of a sudden not being there, because it's like I can relate to that most definitely. And I've said that like for a while, like, because I could relate to it personally, like, because it feels like, okay, that person is there, that person is present, the person seen you grow up, that person, been to your birthday party, this person done, have always been in the picture, then all of a sudden disappeared. And then it's just like, I'm trying to be careful with my words, but it's like just the lack of accountability, then you blaming it on the other person for their lack of not being there, when in reality it takes two to tango and make kids. So the kids are also your responsibility as well. It's not like the wife just has kids and then you're just there. No, they're both of your kids. They're your kids in general. So it doesn't matter what your relationship is with the parent. you should always be a parent and always be there for the kids despite on what that person or like what the other person does. And so as a kid, it will be easier if they haven't known that person at all, then that person just all of a sudden just wanted to disappear. Because now as a kid, you're like, okay, what did I do? Is it my fault? Like, did I not do it? Like, you know, you kind of like, because some parents don't think that your kids are affected by it. No, your kids are affected and they see what is going on. So it's like, I can articulate it because I'm older now and I'm grown, so I can articulate. But imagine like how, you know, a younger, you know, 16, 17, 15-year-old kid will feel as well. Like, I'm 25 years old, still trying to like process and dealing with that. But like as a kid, like as a younger kid, and then you have like a parent that just disappear like that. Like as a kid, you're gonna think like, okay, so was I the problem? Like what happened? Like why aren't they, you know? And it's like in reality, like when like as I got older and like I became an adult, it's like, no, it's the adult's responsibility to also be there and also, you know, take responsibility as well. And like also, you know, yeah, take responsibility for their actions and also be there for the children and despite what you're going through with the other person. So
I can say this a couple times, and I feel bad, and we're gonna get back on the topic, but I feel bad because I always encourage, you know, just being a parent, because, you know, as a parent, you want your kids to be healthy, happy, whole, right? And so I always try to encourage them to have that relationship and do those things. And it hurts me when they reach out and then it's not reciprocated. And that's really sad. And then my daughter will come to me and say, well, maybe it was because when I was 6 years old and I did this, or maybe it's because, it's like, no, baby, no, you don't got anything. You are the child. You are the child. You are not the adult. So you're not responsible for, you know, making that relationship happen. But that it hurts me to see my children hurting because of the lack of, you know, reciprocity or even trying to, you know, be a parent. Because listen, it doesn't benefit me for my kids to only have one parent. You know, you need that yin and that yang. You need the mom and the dad. Like, that's required. But if it's a toxic situation, you don't want it. And so Kyle said, I just rather, you know, have not even ever had it. And I was like, oh, because the other thing for me is I often blame myself, because I'm like, I made this choice to be married and have these kids and put them in this situation. And I'm like, this is all my fault. Because my kids, they tell me, and I'm like, this is all my fault. It's all my fault. And they be like, Mom, it's not your fault. And like, you know, Kim,
the other person has agreed to get married. So it's not just you. Like,
yeah, the things that you guys have gone through as a result. But even with Kim, you know, Kim is my ride or die. And so I remember there'll be times Kim's like, Kim has tried to talk me off a ledge too. But anyway, you know, Kim is like, girl, and you know. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. Thank you, Kyle, for sharing that, because I know that was tough, and I don't want you to. I want you.
Whatever. I'm open. I'm on it. Like I'm going through like healing, and I feel like that part of me, like, I'm cool. I'm chilling.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You feeling the way you feel. I imagine, you know, what your brothers, you know, might be dealing with as well. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder how, like, that dynamic is kind of different as like a man. Cause I mean, I'm the only girl, so I wonder, like, you know, their dynamic as being boys and dealing with a dad that, I don't want to say that isn't present, but isn't super active. You know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So James, did you have something to say, Kim?
Yes, you know what I wanted to say, and it does sort of pull us back to the topic as well, too, because what normally happens is with the girl child, she's looking for daddy and other men, and she will eventually, if she's worth her salt and you know, and gets a healthy self-esteem, she will eventually come to find a man, or a man will find her who loves her the way she wants to be loved. That's normally how it plays out. With boys, boy child, male child, here's what I'm finding happens with them. They make a decision that all they know is that dad is who they will never be. They make a decision that he is the example of what I ain't gonna be. I'm not gonna do this. Like, that's sort of the road that they go when once they get hurt. And once they get betrayed, they're like, you know what? At least I know what not to do. And that's normally the road that they will take, unless, you know, unless they meet, you know, trifling women along the way that help them make bad decisions. But for the most part, they seek their revenge and wanting to be the opposite of what they had to endure. That's
Right.
normally what happens with boys. So back to this post, this young lady is really smarter. If we dig down just a little bit deeper, she made this decision to emulate the love that was exhibited in front of her, to want that and to want to marry that. But look at the generational curse she breaks by doing that. We that's worth the conversation. By her choosing a healthy exhibition of what loving her spouse should look like, then by nature, her children will see a healthy relationship in the household, which
Right.
breaks what she grew up with.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? Where
Which
she
is
could have perpetuated and looked for someone that was like her father. She chose to break it with what was exemplified in front of her by wanting a man like her stepfather, which now her future children will see a positive exhibition of what love looks like. And
but you
it
see
cuts off. You see what I'm saying? It
that's
cuts
exactly
off.
what that's exactly what Larry said. That's exactly what he did, right?
Yep. Yes. Absolute.
You want to speak to that, Larry? What she said? Did you hear what she said?
I did, and yeah, I feel like by focusing on my wife, that by default the relationship with my daughter would be strong. And even though my goal, of course, I want to be a great dad, but when I was being a father to my daughter, my goal was never to be a great dad. The only thing I want to do was love her and make her proud of me. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that our life is an accumulation of the choices we make. And I
Mm,
just wanted to continue to make good, sound choices that would make her look at me and say, I'm proud that that's my dad. And when I knew I succeeded at fatherhood, I'm gonna tell you this very little short story. When I knew I succeeded at fatherhood, is this moment right here. One day, I was standing by my daughter, and I seen a text, and the name of that contact was greatest guy ever. And in my head, I'm like, who is greatest guy ever? And then she just looked at me like I was crazy, and she said, "You, Dad." And at that moment,
mm,
I was like, she's like, what? In my head, like, what? She looks at me as the greatest guy ever, and that's when I knew that I did parenting right. Again, I came from a broken home, so I didn't see my dad loving my mom. I didn't even know how to be a man. I came from the streets when uh, they teach you to not love a woman. They teach you to not settle with one woman. And if you do settle with one woman, then that's when the simp and he's whooped. And so I was encouraged not to be faithful. That's the culture I grew up in. And the more women you had, the better you was looked at. And so I had to play. So once again, I have to bring it all back to my wife. My wife is, I have to give her a ton of credit for who I am today because she was the one who showed me what true love was. Because in the streets, what I seen in my house, I thought that was love. My parents arguing, I thought that was love. I just thought that was part of a relationship. People gonna have disagreements, they're gonna yell at each other. That's what love looks like. Until I met my wife's family, and I was like, damn, this is what a regular family looks like. I said, I want this kind of family. And I knew that just because I was raised in a dysfunctional family didn't mean I had to raise one. You know what I'm saying? So my wife and I together, we broke so many generational curses. Everybody in our household has degrees. Even though I did go to prison for 5 years, I came home, went back to school with my wife. We both graduated together, kind of showed our kids, it's never too late. And, my daughter has her bachelor's and her master's. My son has his bachelor's. So we're the first people on both sides of the family that ever had degrees,
Wow.
as we know. And we've been married 28 years, so far we're breaking the curse of divorce. We got divorced all on each side of our families. So I grew up seeing my mom and dad argue, so I didn't know as far as the treatment went, how to treat a woman. I had to find out through my wife how a woman is supposed to be treated, and then in return, I showed my son how he's supposed to treat a woman by him seeing me love his mom, and I treated my daughter how she's supposed to be treated when she gets a man.
Y'all, that is a choice. The way he grew up like so many, but he chose different. And
Yeah.
look at the generations that are going to be, this is going to transcend and that are changing because he made a choice. And see how everything fell in line because this man made a choice. And so that's an example that we can take because this is all about the learning. This is all about how can we better ourselves? How can we better our communities? It starts with things like this. It starts with a choice. You making the decision to make good decisions, to love your wife, to love your family, to be present. You may not be with the woman, your baby mama, but you can respect her. And
Yeah,
then
even if your kids see the dynamic of like you respecting their mother and you're not even there, you guys are not even together, that's important, even vice versa though too, because there'd be the bitter baby mamas. But so like the men, the how the woman treats the man, like that's important. Like kids see that. We
And
see that.
I think about me because I'm single, but as I get into a relationship, right? Of course you're gonna be with somebody who has children, but those are factors that you got to take into account. You're gonna be with somebody who has children. If they are estranged, first of all, that's a red flag if they're estranged from their children, but you're going to encourage them to want to have relationships with their children. You're not going to encourage them to not have relationships with their children. So if they're not talking to their children on a regular basis or they're not seeing them, you got to beg the question, why? You can't blame the baby mama. You have rights too, just like you did, Kim, with your husband. You got rights too. We're going to figure out how to make this happen because you are equally as a parent as she is, right? And so that's what you have to do. But you as a woman, I'm going to want to make sure that everybody feels inclusive and everybody feels loved and everybody feels cared for. As a woman, all that falls in line. So producing these healthy families is extremely important to a healthy community. James, do you want to chime in? Kim? James is froze. Go ahead, Kim.
I was going to say absolutely. And I think that in this post even.
So kind of going off of what Larry said, like, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
No. So like, I came from a house. It wasn't the greatest sound. Like Kim said, I knew what I didn't want to do as a husband. Like I chose to be with my wife. Like I'm not gonna say we're the only ones that together, but we're probably in my family the longest lasting healthy relationship that other people see. and trying to balance that and being from a broken home from my other kids, it's a tough balance. Trying to blend in, come together on certain dates, certain things that we try to make a tradition. It takes one person to be fighting, and you're going through your emotions and different things. And it's like, how much fight do you do? Because if you're fighting because you love, you're going to take away from this situation just a little bit. And maybe that's when these other kids are like, hey man, what's going on with dad? Is he mad at me? Is he mad at mom? And it has nothing to do with this over here trying to get my family together. So, you know, it's so hard to try to have that balance and still in my kids, you know, like, look, me and your mom not together, it's not your fault.
So James, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like
you have to constantly be on them and put that in their head, and do you to say, hey, look, this is what's going on, and this is our feeling. And you know, as a community, we don't talk about this enough. Where everybody can learn from one another.
Right. That part.
It's like,
this dialogue
nah,
is extremely necessary.
like you
No, this dialogue is
said,
extremely
hey,
necessary.
man, you're a simp. You know, or
Right.
are you doing this? Like, I cleaned up. But again, they don't know if they never been married. They
Right.
don't understand those little things are so important to this woman. Right or no, have a good day.
And just like you said, this is extremely important for us to have it in our community, you know, especially with Black men. Because listen, whether y'all believe it or not, you are the leaders of our communities. You are the leaders of our family. We look to you for direction. We want, you know, and it's so funny because Kyle and I joke about this all the time, right? We like, you know, this Generation Z or whatever, they mad at the women's lib movement. They mad at the feminists because they like, I didn't sign up for this feminism shit.
Yeah, you saying I gotta work,
Right? Like,
want to do
I
that.
want you to lead, and I want to be taken care of. I don't want to do all that.
knitting.
Right?
I
But-
want somebody else to clean the snow off my truck.
I don't want to do the hard labor anymore.
Right? We didn't ask for this, but no. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you think so or not, we look to you men as the leaders, and so you guys set the standard for what's going to happen in our homes, in our communities. And if y'all talking about a man, you know, if you are future, you are a problem.
Or
If
if you don't want to be a
talking about
house
take care of a
husband,
woman is a
Like,
sin, you are a problem. That's a problem in our community. That's a problem, the mindset, and that
Yeah.
has to change. And we gonna always be in this situation until we change that mindset. But Kim, you wanted to add something.
You know, Constance, I don't, maybe this is something for the future, but I ran across this snippet from a podcast where there were two African-American hosts, males of this particular podcast, and the guest was a woman from another country. She was not a woman of color. She was of a totally different descent. Let's just say maybe she was East Indian. And she was speaking on Black women. And she was saying, you know, Black women are killing it. You know, everybody wants to look like you all. They want to dress like you all. They want the bodies that you have. You all could really be winning if you would just learn to be just a little bit softer. If you all could just tone it down a little bit, you'd be in the lead. But you won't. And she said, I apologize for being so honest, but that's to me the reason why Black women aren't in the lead when it comes to Black men. And that's why they go and they seek exotic and foreign women, because they like the way that we love them. So I'm going to tie that to this post even, right?
I think that's a bunch of malarkey. That's bullshit.
Okay. So not only did two African American males give this woman a microphone to express that, but they were low-key co-signing what she was saying. And then they did not, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. True enough. But after she expressed her opinion, they had no defense, no respect, or not even any regard for the sweeping offense that she just committed against Black women. And so I said that to say this. When I go back to this post, cheers to the daughter that stood in her father's face to say, Dad, you've done well by me as your daughter, but I've watched you mistreat other women over and over and over again. So you really aren't the bag of chips that you think you are, that I would want to go out in this world and say, yes, I want to marry someone just like my dad. I commend her for not only standing space for herself, but standing space for those other women that she witnessed him mistreating. You see what I'm saying? That post has so many layers to it, to me, than just he wasn't good enough. No, he wasn't a good man enough for her to choose him first.
Right.
Period. Whether it was her stepfather or uncle or next door neighbor that she saw, it just wasn't him. And I would have to say, when it comes to that podcast, those are the type of men that I'm leery of. Ones that give sound and voice and platform, that co-sign craziness just because it makes them look good. Just like Dad. All those gifts and all that treating her well, but it was all for naught because she didn't choose you. She didn't choose you on the face of who you were. And those guys that allowed that foreign woman to do that, man, if there's any such thing as cancel culture, I really don't even condone cancel culture. But if it does exist, I wanted to take that podcast down. I want cancel culture to just swoop down and just fold the whole podcast up and throw it in the trash.
But let me ask you men this. So Larry, what are your thoughts about that? This lady saying Black women aren't soft enough, that we don't take care of our men, that we don't treat our men right.
I don't agree with that. Me personally, I like a woman with a little attitude, man. My wife isn't the softest person in the world. I mean, she's far from being soft, but I like her like that. I want her to be able to stand up and tell me no when it should be no, not someone who's just going to watch me run myself into destruction. So I don't agree with that comment at all. I don't want no soft woman that's just going to tell me yeah, just going to be a yes woman. I want somebody who's going to stand up to me when it's time to be, and I want somebody who's going to, but at the same time, love me properly. And like I told you before, my wife was the one who taught me how to love by seeing how she treated me, for her to stand by me through a 5-year prison sentence. I mean, come on now. How many women gonna do that? You know what I'm saying?
So let me just tell you this. Let me just tell you this. As soon as they tap on the car and say, "All right, buddy, hold tight," so you got a good one.
But yeah, so I don't agree. I love Black women. Black women are the gift to the human race. I would choose a Black woman first every single solitary time. There's nothing better ever anywhere. Period. So I
Appreciate that.
disagree. I totally disagree with that.
And respect to, you know, all women. All women bring, you know, whatever they bring to the table. I'm this is nothing, there's nothing against anybody. I just
No, that nigga.
yeah, no, I'm not talking about you at all. I'm just saying for me, like I love everybody, but I believe in our community, in our households, we definitely need our men to just be men and not be suckers and not be influenced. You know, it brings me back to it a few months ago. Remember when Snoop said, I ain't smoking no more. Whatever he said, however he said it. This came out the woodwork. I ain't smoking either. I ain't smoking. Just because Snoop said he wasn't smoking, now ain't all y'all not smoking. Meek Mill ain't smoking, and all these people, I'm giving up weed too. Turns out it was just a advertising gimmick. So what y'all do? Y'all went back to smoking weed? Black men are so influenced by pop culture, by rap, by what they hear and see on TV that you don't have a mind on your own. And so for a man to see catering to a woman as a sin, my son tells me, Mom, you taught me how to be a gentleman. I taught my son, I did, how to open up doors. All my boys how to open up doors. And one of the things that you said, Kim, that was so true, my boys are like, a woman's never going to take care of me. I'm going to be the provider. The opposite of what they saw is what they are displaying or what they want. 100%. They're like, no, we ain't. Well, I'm not doing that. But I taught them to be gentlemen. And then when he went off to college, he's like, yeah, everybody ain't supposed to be treated like this. Everybody, I can't open the door for everybody. So, but having that discernment, but still knowing, because what I told him is, yeah, she might not be the one that you treat like a queen, but it doesn't stop you from having the integrity that you need as a man. You might not have, don't deal with her, but you're not going to disrespect her. And being able to walk into those spaces and still be that man that you're supposed to be, regardless of how other people treat you, regardless of what pop culture says you're supposed to do, regardless of what these stupid ass rappers talk about you being a simp because you take care of. That's the most dumbest asinine shit I ever heard in my life. You take care of me, I'm going to take care of you, period. That's how it's going to be. You take care of me, I'm going to worship the ground you walk on. But y'all too busy chasing, y'all messing with the each other. I mean, like, what you go at the end of the day?
That's what I'm saying. Y'all secretly in love with y'all homeboys,
right?
Because ain't no way y'all would do way more for your homeboys than you do for your own girl.
Right,
man.
James, your boys is talking about Sims. What you got to say for yourself, homie?
So it's just funny, like I always been, but so like what my boy, like most of them is business owners. Like these are good dudes. Like, but I don't think I really explained the whole post. I just said, hey, would you rather be a good husband or a good father?
But it don't even matter whether you play the whole post or not. The fact that they say a man caters to a woman is a simp is bullshit.
But they're single. They're not trying to be a boyfriend or a husband.
Okay, I can dig it.
Where did that term come
totally
from anyway,
from
James?
Like out of 18 guys, there's probably 5 of them married.
That's a problem.
What did you say, Kim? I couldn't hear you.
I just said, where did the term? Well, you know what? You don't even have to answer that question, because when you just gave that statistic, like out of 18, only 5 of them married. I mean, so there's 13 people that's not even qualified to hold the conversation.
And you know what's so crazy? It's like, because I've been having like conversations like this.
Well, I mean, they're all educated. Like, we all went to college together, so it's just a group of guys.
No, what are you saying? What are you saying?
Go ahead, Kai.
Do a little delay before. if I start talking.
Right, double dutching.
Yeah. What I was saying, I was having a conversation with one of my with my friends about this, and it's crazy. Like, a lot of guys are like ready to have kids, but they don't want no relationship, and that's mind boggling to me. So it's like everybody, like, and I have nothing to blame but like their parents and what they see, because obviously they see that. But it's like a lot of people just want to like just have kids and have baby mothers and stuff because they feel like they'll be a great dad. But it's just like, so you wanna raise your kid in a broken household? You wanna like, because obviously you're gonna date and obviously you're gonna still like try to talk to other women and things like that. Is this what you want your kids to see?
And you know, that's the thing though. Like, you need that yin and that yang. And this is what I was telling my kids. And if I don't know if I should share this, but I'm going to. So the other day, a couple weeks ago, we was here, and then they were like, "This is great. We should have been living like this." And I'm like, "No, you need the yin and the yang of the male and the female. Like, kids, you need that. You don't like. I don't want my kids to just see, because my boys, they need to see the more than just the soft mother. They need that, discipline of a father. They need to have that, that masculinity around them. They need all of that. And one of the things that one of my kids said was like, well, I mean, if it's toxic, then what's the use? And I was like, shut up, Kim. But I think I was
like, what's the use? Like, you just have that person just there like a figurehead, like,
yeah,
not doing anything.
Right. That's some status quo, Brady Bunch type of fantasy. That's some Claire Huxtable type of fantasy world. Because in all honesty, I believe that good people or a good person can raise good children. Whether it's one or two does not matter. I think ideally you would say, well, I want a male figure for my boys to emulate themselves after. But you can bring good male figures and good positive figures into their lives for them to extrapolate the kind of moral standard that you want them to have. I firmly believe that a woman cannot teach boys how to be men. I get that. 100%. But what you can do, sometimes this, Constance, to me, what you're saying doesn't even make sense. The only reason you're able to say it is because we've not gone through major wars in this country like they did in the 60s and the 50s. There was times when there wasn't even men in the community to even be here to be in the house with, because they were off to war. But still, that mom had to raise those children that was in the house the best that she could. What a mom is quite capable of doing is raising good people, period. You might not be able to raise a man, but you could raise a good person who then, when you bring other good male figures in, becomes a good man. Because not every dad is a good man. And I'm with your children. If I had my druthers, I'd have kicked my father out the house when I was 3. If I could have. He would have never lasted as long as he did, to do the damage that he did, to do the trauma that he did. Yeah. So to me, no, that's a fallacy. Yes, is that ideal? Sure it is. But
that's what God designed. So, that's why, it's necessary, it's necessary. That's what I just feel like. That's what. No, you're right. No, you're right. I mean, I wouldn't want to have, the kids be exposed to the toxicity, just like you guys said. But it's,
like, don't get me wrong. I do want that it's important to have that dynamic, but it's also important to vet like the people that you have in place. So like, it's like, it's enough by saying, like, it's not enough just saying you just want a man and a woman to be, because what if the man is crazy and what if the woman murders kids? Like, it's like you have to make sure, like the man and the woman are equally yoked also on the same page when it comes down to that dynamic of having kids and things like that. And like, I'm not gonna say like it's a terrible thing that, you know, that wasn't like our dynamic. I mean, shoot, like I probably want to be as aware and knowing what I want. Like, it's important for people to go through that. I feel like, you know, if that's not there, if their dynamic wasn't like, you know, the healthiest, because now it's just like I take the situations and know what I want for next time or what I want in general. Like, it's a learning experience.
And one of the things that you said, Kyle, was that, like, you know, because you had a certain dynamic, the guys that you, just like you said, Kim, you were always finding guys who were always trying to humble you.
Yeah.
So how did you attract that type of energy, do you think?
But that is humble me when it's convenient for them. They love the fervor, they love the energy, they love the intellect when I'm solving their problems. When I'm uplifting them and their visions. They like the gung-ho and go for it and the tenacity. Except when now I have to turn it towards something that you said, or an offense, or or something that I don't like between me and you. Then they want me to turn that all the way down. You know, turn all of that off. Right. And don't be yourself. And that doesn't, I learned that I attract those kind of men because they find me helpful and they want me in their circles. And they show that to me. They shower me with affection because I can solve so many of their problems easily. And I advocate for them and I help them. And I'm the IT support for them. I'm the escalation for them. I'm the president of whatever company they have. I'm the catch-all, except for when I turn to them now and the problem is between him and me, and I'm using those same tools. Then it's a problem.
And then there's accountability involved, right? Then we got to be accountable for some things. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Now we gotta get humbled. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Kyle, one of the things Kyle was saying was like, I can do everything right, and then there's one thing, and that's why she said I always walked on eggshells, because that was the expectation, is that I could do everything right, but then, you know, if I make one mistake, then it's like World War III, and that's kind of what she ran across when she, you know, got with certain guys, or when she's at her most vulnerable. You know, that's when they took the opportunity to, you know, like kick me while I'm down, right? And so I feel, but what I tell all of my kids, because your experiences are the things that really make you strong, and so don't belittle those experiences. They were all for a purpose. Everything that we go through, they're to build us character. And just like you said, everything that we do, like the boys made a choice to say, hey, listen, from this point forward, this is how I'm going to live my life. And that's what we have to do. Every morning before when I take my kids to school, they pray. I make them pray. And I also make each of the boys do an affirmation. And the affirmation is, and they already know it, my life is, what is it? My life is a reflection of the decisions that I make every single day. They say, after they say their prayer, they then say, my life is a reflection of the decisions that I make. And so you have your life is based upon whatever you do. So if you choose to F it up, your life is going to be the result of it. And so that's the thing that, you know, that they have to learn. Like, yeah, you got to learn those lessons of the things that you went through. And, you know, you ain't dead. You know, you ain't in jail. You're not homeless. You're okay. Just learn from this stuff and then move on. Right, Kai?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I can imagine, right, Constance, the generations that are living with social media every day, that are living with this idea that you too can become a millionaire in 30 days. You too can become an influencer and have 100,000 followers. You too can be the woman living the soft life, because it's 20,000 other women that I can look at in a swipe and see that's living a soft life too. I can't imagine being a young adult in this day and time, because that technology has impressed upon younger people. It could be such a kick in the self-esteem every single day. I'm constantly reminded of who I can be, what I should be, what I could do, how I should do it, and how quickly it should come. Now, there's enough around us to remind us of those things, but to hold it in my hand every day and to be constantly reminded, to me, it doesn't afford me the opportunity to make too many mistakes. It doesn't afford me the opportunity to come up short, which is what life is about. Making mistakes and coming up short. So that you can learn and be better.
It creates unrealistic expectations, and you think about it, because you have this podcast saying, I want to live the soft life. Women shouldn't go 50-50. You might have to go 50-50 for a little bit. Like, you just don't arrive at that place where you got a man that's making 6 figures, you 25 years old, and my man making 6 figures, and it don't work like that. And so the expectations are very unrealistic for a lot of these young girls. Everybody wants a life.
Yeah, and then though, here's the kicker to me. This is the kicker. So then, say you're comparing yourself to other people your age, or what they have, or who they are, and then those people are constantly flaunting it in your face, or constantly telling you what you could do, or whatever. But when they fall from grace, it's never as loud as all the stuff that they was flaunting in your face.
Right.
When they fall for grace, or when that relationship breaks up, or when they lose half of whatever they had, or whatever, it's never that many visual impressions as it was when they had all of that stuff.
I'm not to me, I was cussing somebody out and I was stabbing them up in the kitchen. I ain't gonna show you that part.
And so to me, that's the part, right? You gotta know that when that girl posts that picture and she's in the gym and she's working out, like, that's just 60 seconds. You don't know if she went to the bathroom and threw up before then, or you don't know what she's doing to just comprise that 90-second reel.
Right. Or that she just went to the gym for 60 seconds and left.
Dig it. And she ain't been back to the gym. She gonna come back in 2 weeks and give y'all another video. Or she gonna work.
Sometimes I post the cover of a book, act like I'm about to read it, but I don't read it.
Girl, you are so focused. See,
but look at that mindset. But it's that very mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's that very mindset.
It's fooled me about my own life, Kim. Listen, memories pop up on your phone just like they do on Facebook.
Right.
I'm telling my kids, oh my God, we were so happy here. Look at and they like.
I be going to her like, girl, you remember what happened 30 seconds before we took that picture? Girl,
you living in a dream.
Yeah,
I believe my own lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I thought it was. Didn't we look? No.
But I will say, like, though, also on the contrast of social media, I feel like personally, social media, like different social platforms, have given a space for people to feel included, like you know that things are certain things are common with each other, like you're not alone, like that, like especially with things like TikTok and YouTube and things like that. I feel like when I go on those certain platforms and I look at certain videos and see certain people, it's like when people are authentically themselves, it makes you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. Like, oh, I'm not the only one that thinks like, because I used to think like I'm like the only, like this only happens to me, and it makes you like feel like, okay, well, I'm not on a desert here, type thing. Like, I feel like that's the positive that I get out of social media, is that, okay, this is a common thing. This is just not, And
I will say, go ahead.
It's that connectivity. Right. I get it. That belonging. However, I think that we can all agree that such a minority of the content that is out there. My mom used to say this, it's so crazy, but she used to say, not that she was talking to anybody or directing the B word to anybody, but she was just saying this as a one-liner. She used to be like, you know what? If you want to know what your life is, bitch, you only as good as your next flat tire. And by that, she meant, like, think about it. When you get a flat tire, that's when you really got to concentrate and think, who can you call to come and help you?
Right.
And you have those circle of friends that you call your friends, but you can't call them to come and help you with this flat tire because they either not coming, they're going to lie and say they coming, or they're going to say they don't know how to change a flat tire, but they're going to send somebody else. So she used to like say, you only as good as your next flat tire. She would normally say that when I would say, oh, that's my girlfriend, so-and-so. So, oh, me and her, we real good friends. We going here, we going there. She like, yeah, you only as good as your next flat tire with her. And but you think about it, even as adults, it's like that list becomes real short in certain situations in your life. And you're right. I think social media gives us that connectivity, but we have to make sure that connectivity transcends into real life. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I will say this. What social media, I think, has the positive of what it's done is it allows us to have these dialogues like this, number one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's also made these children more self-aware and have more emotional intelligence. I know for this book right here, which he left again, this is my son's shadow work journal. As a shadow work journal. Like, so they're looking at TikTok, they're seeing this stuff and they're like, listen, there's some internal work that I need to do. There's some things that I need to do. My middle son had a hard time adapting here, and so remember, I'll be like, did I make the right choice? Did I do, I'm beating myself up. And one day I was hanging out with my son and he said, Mom, I was mad at you last year, but I'm glad we did this because I never had a time where I was able to do self-reflection. I never had a time where I was able to just be by myself and just be in my own thoughts and really to know and understand myself. Mom, thank you. And I was like, right. But that comes from them having access to those things that are creating that emotional intelligence for them to like really look and dig deep. And I can thank social media for that because they're asking the questions, they're having the conversations, they're thinking internally. Like my son Camille is like a freaking scientist because of the crap that he looks at on TikTok. Like this girl does some stuff that is just so not interesting and like, why are you even thinking this stuff? But this is that. And so I'm grateful for that. But the emotional intelligence piece, them being able to be self-aware and see things for what they are, that there's a lot of fallacies and a lot of like things that I think unrealistic expectations, like you were saying, Kim, around especially living the soft life, especially the expectation about a mate, everything having to be perfect. And I ain't doing this and I ain't putting up with that and I ain't doing, but on the other hand, so you got to have that, you got to like, I guess take, what chew the meat, throw away the bone.
Yeah.
Good. Throw away the bad. Hopefully they realize the difference between, it's the choice that they make to decide on what they're going to keep. A lot of times, unfortunately, they be keeping the wrong shit. Right.
But it's so tempting because it's all out there. It's all out there. And they don't even believe that there was ever a time where you couldn't get information that quickly. Like there was a time when you just had to wait for somebody to get to your house. There was a time where you just had to wait for the phone to ring, or you called them, and if they didn't answer, then you just had to wait. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or you just had to. It was just a different way of communicating. Therefore, it was a different way of being.
Right.
And this way, since there's a different way of communicating, there's a different way of being. I, for the life of me, cannot understand why you would care what anybody types in comments. But that's because I lived more of my life not knowing what a comment was and not caring. Whereas some of the generation, some of the Gen Zs and the alphas, that comment means everything to them. And for us, we like, they just sat behind the keyboard and typed some words. Why do you care?
Right.
Unplug the thing. Go on
Right.
about your
Why you
life.
fighting with these people?
Yeah,
Right.
but you got millionaires, you got millionaires saying, yeah, I saw what y'all wrote about me in the comment and I'm angry. I'm like, are you serious, sis? If you don't put that laptop away and go and count your money,
Right.
I mean, but in a way, I guess it's because that is how communication has been shaped now.
And that's why we have the attention span of a gnat. Literally. We have no patience for anything. That's why we want fast money. That's why we want fast information. That's why we want fast results. Because now everything is at our fingertips. But to the point is that everything being at our fingertips, that means there's more opportunity as well that we should be taking advantage of. There's no reason why we should have any lack in any of our knowledge and any of our skill set, because everything is out there. I didn't go to college. I got a PhD, a public high school diploma. But I remember, because I didn't go to college, I was trying to get these little jobs. I used to go to Manpower. You remember Manpower?
Yeah, the staffing agency.
Yes. On Saturdays, they have Microsoft Word classes. They have Microsoft Excel classes. I had to go to take the bus to Manpower to take these classes that were 8 hours so I could learn Microsoft Word. You Negroes can get on your device or your laptop and learn this. Right. So if I had to do all of that so I could get that skill set,
I do not. Can't even imagine. You really date yourself.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you.
God.
So my point is, there's no reason why you should not have the knowledge and be far advanced, because you have the access to everything that you need right at your fingertips.
Right.
Period. So anyway, this was a great conversation. This is, and I love having the males, and I love having the male perspective, because at the end of the day, and I want to give you guys all, your last words to say, but for me, at the end of the day, I think that, there's a trickle down effect when it comes to relationships. And somebody said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that's not necessarily true, because if you treat your child right, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to treat your spouse right. I do believe you have a higher chance of treating your child right if you're going to treat your spouse, like if you're your mate. And for the Negroes that say a man that takes care of his wife is a simp, I feel sorry for you, because you are going to live a lonely existence. Just like you talked about that low vibrational energy and living in that space, it has to be miserable. And so don't you understand that the energy that you give is the energy that you receive?
When he said that, I automatically knew, and I'm not gonna say like this is true, but like I automatically knew they probably was raised by single mothers.
And that's unfortunate. And that's so that begs to the point I was making about me not wanting to be a single mother, right? I didn't want to just have you guys raised by one parent, because it doesn't, for me,
that's different. It's your dynamic is different. It's like you're a single mother because of divorce, not you just have to be a single mother. Those type of dynamics are different.
I feel like I'm somebody's baby mama right now.
Nah, but that's different. Like the single mother, like the dads ain't never like been there since the kid was born type thing. Yeah. Like those are the type of people that I'm talking about. Not like people who just like in a relationship now they're the single mother. No, the other parent been along, like it's different.
Yeah, but also, like just because, but a lot of times when you were in a relationship or you were married and then you guys separate, you still have two parents. And that's the thing that I'm saying. Like, not that you don't have two parents, but you literally have.
Your dynamic is different too. It's not like you're raising toddlers on your own. Like
that's
where
true.
they're late teens in their 20s. Like everybody, we're older.
All they need is a credit card and DoorDash, and we good.
Okay.
So I don't gotta feed them jokers. I ain't really gotta do a whole lot.
Right.
But I do believe that I think Black men need to just really just step into their place as the kings of our households, as our communities.
Absolutely, because the people who are like raised by, like I watched some the other day. It was the I just choked on my spit. It was the other day. Remember the 20 woman and one man that we was watching?
Yes.
So I was watching one with Lil Meech, and he basically swiped left on every girl, which is like swipe left means like he denied every girl except like
This is this foolishness stuff that is on YouTube. They bring it. There's one guy. They bring in a bunch of girls, and they basically choose them or not choose them.
Yeah, and then the girls be like, "Oh, what do you bring?" Like, or like they wear like the
throwing themselves at the guy.
throwing themselves at him, like, "Please choose me." And then when the guy doesn't choose her, she be like, "But what?" Like, girl, stand up. Anyway. So what?
All of my kids watch this crap. They have me watching this mess a couple weeks ago.
One of the things that Lil Meat said was like he's just the type of woman he's looking for is like one that takes care of him, like one that's similar to his mother. And I'm like, Lord, here we go. Like there's a whole epidemic of these type of men. It's that.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute, because my son said the same thing, Kyle.
But they're looking for someone to take care of them, to cook, to clean, and work. They're not just talking about somebody to just take care of them. They want somebody to just do the hard labor too. They want somebody to endure what their mother did.
No. I'm gonna work 3 jobs. I want a woman that worked 3 jobs.
No, they don't mean that part.
That's what a lot of them are thinking. Yes.
I see my mama struggle. Your ass go out to struggle. I want to be as strong as my mama.
Okay, you have to deal with my cheating because my mama. No.
Right.
No. I will have to say this. When you are a dynamic, phenomenal, or multi-layered or multi-hyphenated woman, and you have a son, by and large, the son is expecting the woman that he's going to bring home to his mother. So not just every chick, but the one that he's going to bring home to his mom, for her to be reflective of some of the admirable attributes that mom has. So he's already fantasized in his mind. Yeah, I can bring you home to my mom because she's going to like the fact that you blah, 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 and you this and you that like her and da, da, da. The other chicks, he might smash them, but they not coming home. And that's something that has not hardly changed throughout the ages. The older women keep trying to tell a younger woman, baby, he might be doing a little something for you, but you're not the one. Or they will be able to help their son pick. When the son brings home a woman that's less than, the mother's the first one to say, she ain't the one. It ain't her. And won't hold her tongue.
Yeah, I mean, I had the conversation with my oldest son, and I try to be neutral about whoever they date. And I try to be, I don't try to get up in their business, but there were some things that I did see, and I said, look out for this. You're her first boyfriend, so she doesn't really quite understand, and so try to be kind of diplomatic and say, you don't. A woman that treats you like this in front of your mama is going to treat you like this in front of anybody. So you got to be very mindful. If she going to talk crazy to you in front of me, she going to talk crazy to you in front of everybody, then everybody going to be calling you a simp at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So we had that conversation. It's so funny because I said, now what? He was like, yeah, you're right. And I said, whatever you do not tell her what I said. Oh yeah, I'm not going to tell her. Next day, Mom, I had a talk with her and I told her what you said. I'm like, yeah.
Wait, the SpongeBob episode.
Yeah, that's SpongeBob episode.
I told her your name.
I told her I said your name. Yeah, I'm like, no. She's not even gonna receive what you said now because now it's coming from your mama and now you're mama's boy. You know what I'm saying? So I was saying it from a perspective is like you just want to make sure that you have a woman like if I'm telling you and the cool thing was, the great thing was. The sad thing and the great thing was she had a great father who spoiled her, who made sure that her hand did not touch a gas pump, who made sure that her door was always open. And so since he was used to that, he was okay stepping into that role. So he was okay with that. But what it also did is how did it make him look at you, Kai, when he said, dang, then I feel like, what did he say about your relationship? How he saw your father-daughter relationship from looking at that, remember?
Yeah, he was like, oh, wow. So it's not normal. Like what you're going through is not like, oh, you're not supposed to be going through that, because actual fathers really not, I want to say like take care, but like they treat their daughters like princesses, like they don't have their daughters go through the hard stuff, the hard life, the hard labor. They're quick to help them with whatever.
Gotta think about it, like yeah. So there's so many things. So many things.
But I'm thinking about like everything on here.
Huh?
You don't want to say everything on here.
No, I just think about like, just certain things where you were like, man, I didn't realize, I'm treated like a boy and I should be treated like a girl. And why do I gotta sleep on the floor? And why do I gotta sleep? I'm the girl. And so it was like those types of things that, once you get around other people and get exposed, you're like, this is kind of not right.
This is not normal.
Not normal. Yeah. So anyway, but at the end of the day, I think that, we got to come together as people. Kim, say your last words.
Well, back to bringing it back to that post, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's so many different layers than just her choosing her stepfather. I think that in that decision, when it comes to this post, not only did she choose a good example for how she wants to be loved, she broke a generational curse. She made a decision that was going to be long running for her and her future family. And so I appreciate the space and agency that it took for her to do that and stand in that. My last final word would be, we would all do so well to take a lesson from the decision that young lady made. Despite hurting anybody's feelings, despite what the appearance was, the fact that she chose herself and she chose what was healthy for her, I think that we should all take an example from that.
I love it. Kyle?
What I take away from this conversation is that it's important to what I take from this conversation is that I didn't know how common like it is for that to even be like for that to even like be a topic. Like I didn't realize like how many people, like how many other like daughters or whatever feel that way with their fathers. Like, oh, like I didn't know like people are like that much aware to like where they look at those dynamics like, oh, I would rather be with this person instead of my father because I see what my father like has treated women, like be so emotionally intelligent. And I feel like with social media, if it really wasn't for social media for real, a lot of people wouldn't really know what emotional intelligence is, especially my generation. My generation, we're like all about emotional intelligence now. And it's like I was brought aware with this conversation is like how like emotionally intelligent people are becoming or being with like identifying like the things in their life that they would change or tweak for themselves for their future and future generations. So when they have kids or whatever, how they can like
breaking
how they can be an example.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it real. My dad, best dad in the world. Never seen a dad better. Great father. Terrible husband. Same situation. Not that he treated my mom, not that he didn't not that he like was a cheater or anything like that, but when my dad got saved, it was like church. And then my kids, then my job, and then my mom was somewhere around down here. She was somewhere like, you need to get your life together. That was like their conversation. That's how they kind of communicated. And so as the leader of the household, he didn't know how to be a husband. And but he was best dad in the world. And so when I vetted the person that I married, I really thought I was marrying my dad because of the conversations that we had about how we raise children. But I did look at that, and I did learn, as when I was married, like the true order of how things are supposed to be. Yeah, God's first, then your marriage, then your children, and then your ministry and everything else that you do, because you can't be effective in those things if your household is toe up, if you're not right on one accord with your spouse. So you have to be able to have that holistic experience with the person, your mate, so that it can trickle down. And so, you live and you do and you be and all that stuff. And so I just know going forward for me, if I ever get married again, which has never been anything that I've ever wanted to do, but if I do, I'm damn near 50. I'm going in with my eyes wide open and knowing really, who I am. Because I believe, when I was 20, I really didn't know who I was or what I wanted or anything like that. But now understanding the true roles, understanding who I am, and knowing that when you have families, like, you got to go in and knowing that it's everybody. So you don't put a person in that position, especially when you're in a blended family situation. You don't put that person in a situation where they got to choose, because you see a lot of immature relationships in that way too. Like, I ain't finna be doing that for your kids, and that's just the craziest thing to me. But also on the same token, Kim, when you have a person who their child comes first, you like, that's endearing that your child comes first. It's cute, it's great. But where does that leave room for me? Your child is your woman.
That's another show.
Right?
That is another show.
Beautiful to see that you're gung-ho about your children, but then where does that leave everything else? And so there's the balance. So you have to be able to, have a balance and invite both of those things in so that they can coexist if you want somebody. But if you're so gung-ho about, I'm single and my kids come first, that means you're not holding space or having space for anybody else to come in and add value to your life. Because if it's the right person, she's going to love that child too. She's going to nurture that child. She's going to add to what you have and not take away from it. So that's the thing that I think is extremely important when we're talking about, how to have the dynamic between parent and child and all of those things. So Brian said, this is the reason I'll never get married. Just chase the bag and have fun and live like a true bachelor. I mean, no disrespect, Brian. That's not the right way. Great topic. Thanks for sharing. And thank you guys. And then James, shout out to James and Larry. Thank you guys for sharing your perspective with us. What an awesome, just rich conversation about relationships. I appreciate it. Kim, you were extremely dope and highly intellectual, like you always are. Love you as a thought leader and as a friend. And Kyle, I love the way you think, girl. I be telling my daughter all the time, I wish I was her. I would trade places with her any day. On any given day, I would trade places because she's pretty dope and amazing. So
That is.
Appreciate you guys. Take care. God bless.